nationally.
Yeah,
so that's something really you're not hearing.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. Bill Mitchell, who's been on the show previously, I'm sure you are aware who Bill Mitchell is. He tweeted out just now that that Colorado is really, really affecting Ted Cruz's numbers, because in the rolling poll, Donald Trump is up this week, +6, and he is down. Ted Cruz, I believe, is down 5. So, how did you feel, Victor? How did you feel about the whole thing that happened in Colorado? The more I digest this story, the more I realize that this lies this is something that happened in August. And with all the news media and all the stuff, it kind of missed me. But if you live in Colorado, you have to be up to date as to what's going on. Who do you blame for what happened in Colorado? Do you blame the Republican voters in Colorado, or do you blame the establishment, or are they both to blame?
I think the blame kind of goes a little, it can be spread out evenly. I think there's a bigger story to this. You are right. Bill Mitchell is right when he pointed out that Trump is on the upswing and Cruz is being heavily affected by this. I'm looking at some polls right now. I've got 5, 6 of the major polls, and Trump is up nearly 2 points, and Cruz is down nearly 3 points in one day. Right. That was one day from yesterday to today. So that's pretty significant. As far as Colorado goes, I think that's going to be the final sell Trump is making. That's the closing argument. All this time we've been hearing Lion Ted, and he's been pointing out, he's been making this sell. And then here we have it. Bam. Just like that, we see an election stolen where the people are disenfranchised. Your vote means nothing in Colorado, and that is going to be the closing argument for Trump to make on it's basically the final nail in Cruz's coffin. And I have a feeling you're going to see that play out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and you're right. And before, you bring up a good point about people being disenfranchised. When you have delegates that are going on national TV, on Fox News, this particular delegate, Rena Barbara, she basically flat out said, I will not vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Hillary over Donald Trump. I mean, that basically disenfranchises the voter base. Kotcha, how do you feel about that?
I completely agree, and I'm going to tell you what, this whole never Trump nonsense, them tweeting that out, we as Americans, we can disagree on a lot of things, but one thing that we all hold dear is we believe in fairness, right? Mm-hmm. We all believe in fairness. Right. The system is rigged against us, and we all know it, regardless of where you come from, what you call yourself. We all know that the system is rigged, and I think that's why people are rallying around this whole idea, which is true, that what went down in Colorado, as I told you when we had our last conversation, I called it the Rocky Mountain Heist, mm-hmm. and that was perpetrated by the Lion Ted Cruz crew, and they did this on purpose. This was all orchestrated. They stole it, and then he had the audacity to say that he won and that all these thousands of people voted for him. There was no vote. That is a lie. It was a thievery. They took it. And they planned it, they implemented it, and they did it, and then they had the audacity to throw it in our face and say there's nothing that you can do about it. Mm-hmm. And that is why people are disgusted. That's why people don't vote, because they know this crap goes on. And it's called disenfranchisement, and we're not putting up with it anymore.
Right. You listen to the silent majority
That's
here.
Exactly right. Bill,
Let me just reset here. You're listening to the Silent Majority here. I'm your host, Cris, and on the Rebooting Liberty Hotline, I have a slew of co-hosts today. I have Kotcha Lee, I have Victor, and I have HC. Go ahead, Victor. Go ahead with what you wanted to say. Oh, by the way, the number to call is 347-338-1775. Go ahead, Victor.
I thought I was going to have to give the number out there for a second.
Yeah.
Look, I think we have several layers to this primary that are very important. We all know of the transgressions, the sins of the Cruz camp. They're so blatantly obvious, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting to the point where if you are a Cruz supporter, there has to be some kind of mental block in your mind keeping you from accepting reality, what is really happening, because it's just so blatantly obvious. Even his supporters are getting weary, and they're having to go on the anger. They're having to get angry and get very personal and resort to, it's the rules. It's the rules. Now, if you look back many elections, many primaries ago, these are the same people complaining about the GOP establishment. Oh, it's when the establishment said it's the rules. Now, all of a sudden, because their candidate is in on it, now because their candidate is playing that game,
You're part
it's
of the
okay.
team. You're part of the team. You're part of the team.
It is. That's right. And you have several layers, I think, Chris, to this. And Lee, I think y'all, and AC, I think y'all would agree to this.
What the hell was that?
Okay.
Yeah. No, but yeah.
You have several layers.
I hit a cue button. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
That's
I hit
okay.
a cue button.
Yeah, absolutely. Victor, you're absolutely correct. And I want to touch on now with HC. I don't know if you are aware, but Indiana has chose their delegates prior to the primary votes, being cast. I don't think the issue is when you do it, is how the process is done. Sort of like in Colorado, if you saw, everybody had 10 seconds to say why they should be, be a delegate, and they were given 10 seconds to give their piece. I think people are more frustrated with the way the process is done. You've heard stories where you've had Trump delegates that were locked out because they didn't have the proper paperwork or the proper credentials, and they were locked out from becoming a delegate. Tell us about that. Like, how do you feel about Indiana choosing their delegates before the election? Do you think there's a difference, or do you think I'm correct that it's part of the process? I mean, that people are more pissed off about the process of selecting the delegates than the fact of when they're selected?
Well, if I might say something about Colorado real quick before I go into Indiana.
Sure.
There's a silver lining to this, and it's a good thing it happened in Colorado, being as, well, Colorado isn't that important of a state. I mean, from a campaign standpoint, in terms of political science, this was absolutely the worst move for the GOP to make, or anybody in the establishment to pull, because there's already anger. There's already that rising. We're all pissed off.
Right.
So this literally just pokes the already pissed off bear with a cattle prod, saying, "Hey, come get me."
Right.
And this is only going to affect everything towards Trump.
Right.
Cruz is just going to keep on slumping.
Right.
Now, in regards to Indiana, I expected this. You're going to see this kind of crap happen because of everything. When Ted Cruz, and you see these PACs, these Cruz supporting PACs, you just follow their money, see where they're sending their money, see who's working in different states. And you can tell that they're trying to sweep it out from under the table.
Yeah, you know who
the tablecloth now.
Yeah, you know who's good at connecting those dots is if you go to Conservative Treehouse, they connect the dots for you right there, and they provide evidence, and they give you like the connection and the donations and where the money's going. They spell it out for you. You just got to read it. You know what I mean? You just got to read it. It's there, you know? At this time, I want to welcome in, Joe. Is it Joanna from Tennessee? Welcome to the Silent Majority.
Hey, Rod. Is that you, Rod?
This is,
yeah, this is Jonna, and
no, this is Chris.
and I am, sorry, Chris. I don't know why. I thought your voice just reminded me. But
Hey, Jonna, what's going on, girl?
Oh, hey! Listen, I am just furious.
Okay,
I just watched a video that InfoWars posted, and they didn't make a comment. It was just showing this protesting in New York.
Yes.
And this guy, this white guy, and don't hold me to this, but the guy looks just like the guy that would show up that was protesting everywhere. Y'all go look at it for yourself. But he sure looks mighty familiar, and I'm not from New York. But so anyway, he has got a Donald Trump hat on, and he's touting about, he's throwing these cards saying ISIS is here, ISIS is here. Well, then all of these immigrants, I guess, illegal, whatever you call them, start coming up. And then there's a man that they pushed up in a wheelchair, and they start a big fight. And I'm telling you guys, you'd have to be in the second grade not to know that this is planted by, Ted Cruz. I'm just going to say it. I used to support him, but he's a weasel dirty snake.
Joanna,
I wouldn't even call a snake. A snake is best.
Joanna, I don't know if you're familiar. But Breitbart, when he was alive, Andrew Breitbart, he did a video. You can see it. It's on Netflix. And he shows how these people were infiltrating Tea Party rallies and spewing racist things so that the media can say, "Oh, those the Tea Parties are racist." I don't know if you ever seen the documentary. It's all there. These people are plants. They're plants. They're planted there to make Donald Trump.
AFL-CIO.
What's that?
Well, it's ridiculous. And you know what? America's smarter. Mm-hmm. And I just saw the polls where, Trump's up for. I'm telling you, we are going to one day thank the people of. Well, it's not the people. It's the criminals that are, trying to shady walk Cruz to the finish line.
Right.
I mean, it's like running a marathon and getting to mile 3 and you're out.
Right.
He is, I'm just telling you, he can't win. I could beat him. He can't win.
Right.
And he doesn't care if he wins.
Well,
and I'm just telling you guys, I'm a country girl, but this is utterly ridiculous. If you support Ted Cruz, and I don't believe that these are conservatives supporting him. I believe that the more I look, the madder I get, because you know what? They're trying to brainwash people to think, and to say that Ted Cruz can beat Hillary Clinton, he can't beat. He can't get the
crossover vote. But Joanna, we got to move along because the call boards are packed here. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for calling.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome, sweetie. Thank you for calling.
Tell my friend there that I'm calling. I'm doing my work. Okay.
Thank you, honey.
I love you. Thank you.
Oh, love you too, honey. Bye.
She's awesome. She's called here in the past because
she's one of my volunteers.
She's
awesome. She's helping us in Rhode Island.
Yeah, she's called here in the past because her name comes up automatically when people call the first time and the name is put in by the screener. It comes up automatically with the caller ID and stuff like that. But it's funny because she brings up the protests in New York, and I'm in New York City. And Donald Trump on Breitbart had an interview with Donald Trump, and he says, "I'm greatly honored. The last person they want running is Donald Trump because they know I'm going to win. I'm greatly honored by all of the paid protesters and all the professional agitators that will be there." I don't know if Ailes there. What's his name? Obama's terrorist buddy.
Ayers is going to be there. Ayers is going to be there because AFL-CIO is there.
Right.
They've been hiring protesters for the past 2 months, specifically for Trump rallies.
Mm-hmm.
They are all right there. They've been planning this for a while.
Right. Right. And
and they have it on Craigslist, and there's Facebook pages for Cleveland too. So they've been planning this for a long time. I completely agree.
So this is what I don't get. Here you have Donald Trump a week ago, he said, there's going to be, he's always saying there's going to be protests in Cleveland if the nomination is stolen from the front runner, or he'll say, when he said yesterday, he said, there's going to be he reminded everybody that on Friday there's going to be a protest in Colorado because of what happened. And the media bashes him. And here you have professional agitators that are getting paid to protest, just like in Pennsylvania, where I don't know if you saw the Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania, where these agitators were actually fighting with cops. It's disgusting. Victor?
Yeah, these guys are. I don't think anybody's really falling for it, man. Anybody I've ever talked to about these so-called protesters, any comments I've ever heard from any reasonable and rational thinker, they've all said the same thing. It's just so blatantly obvious this is planned. We've dealt with this system for so many years. We come to expect this kind of behavior now. I think there's a bigger picture, something that a lot of conservative think tanks are kind of missing this mark on, and it's the unity discussion. And you know what, Chris, if you don't mind, could I kind of rant on this for a moment?
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Sorry. Yeah, so look, I did a poll on Twitter. It said, would you write in Trump's name if the nomination is stolen from him? Which, by the way, there's 4 days left to vote. So at Victor Breaux, I'm going to do a little plug there for myself.
Okay.
Go vote. But I'm going to tell you the results as of right now, 1,600 votes. And 85% of these Twitter users say absolutely yes. They would write in Trump's name. So they're just not falling for this anymore. They're not going to be swayed like this. So we have a problem. And Lou Dobbs kind of points it out. He says, should the way the delegates are selected change after this election? That was a poll he literally just tweeted 2 minutes ago. And so far there's 100, 200 votes, and they say